Hi, Hayden here, and this is the first in a series of videos on how to find an airport in Florida rather quickly. And the first airport that we were going to look for was Jacksonville International Airport. Now I'm going to tell you there's 5 or 6 different airports, probably a whole lot more in this area of Jacksonville. But let me show you how to quickly, from way out here in space, how to identify where the airport is. If we were to take this kind of cut into the panhandle of Florida and make a line all the way across to the Atlantic Ocean, if we were to go straight east and west, we would find it would cross just under the Jacksonville area. If we look at the obvious St. John's River area here, is a very wide waterway. And if we look at the north end of that, that ends or winds up going right through downtown Jacksonville, which is interesting because the waterway does go right through downtown Jacksonville. The waterway does snake around and come out into the Atlantic Ocean. And just north of that is a very wide water inlet waterway that is directly east of the airport. So using the straight north of downtown and the straight west from this large inlet out here, which I can actually see even on my small monitor, I know that, let's use the bottom of the glove. Just below the bottom of the glove is a bright white dot. That bright white dot is indeed Jacksonville International Airport. So that's why I wanted to show you. We're going to zoom in on it. Let's see if I can get it more centered. There we go, right in the bullseye there. That is Jacksonville International Airport right there. So again, I'm going to push the north button, and directly west from the very wide inlet, see here's the St. John's waterway, okay, and comes out to the Atlantic Ocean. Just north of that, there's a very wide water inlet, and straight west of that is the Jacksonville International Airport. This is the most narrow part of the St. John's waterway, so you can imagine the currents ought to be pretty interesting for boaters there during the high tide and low tide sections. And this, if you go straight north out of here, you're going to end up hitting the airport as well. So that you can triangulate on where the airport is. Now again, I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of airports in this area. Here's a runway here. Here's a large airport over here. Down here, there's a Naval Air Station. I don't know if it's still active or not, but it's there. In a downtown area in this direction is an airport called Craig Field. And I only know that because I landed there once. And over here, it's hard to see. There's another runway. So let me zoom in on these a little bit. So here's the runway here over by the Atlantic, and here's Craig Field in the Jacksonville, greater Jacksonville area. Now there's one more thing I want to show you. We know how to find the Jacksonville International Airport by looking at the geographical and the city surroundings. We can get an idea where it's at. One of the things I want to look at down here, and these are one of the fun things that you find when you're looking around in Google Earth, and this is one of the things I found was this is a staging area for cargo containers. The cargo containers go onto ships. Here's a set of cranes over here. Here's additional cranes over here. And they will lift up the cargo containers and put them on the cargo ships. These other things that you see here are the trailers. You know, you got a 18-wheeler tractor trailer. These are the trailers that these cargo pieces go on. And, you know, when they go on the ship, they don't need the wheels anymore. So off they go. And but I found this cruise ship sitting over here. But even more interesting than the cruise ship sitting over here in the commercial shipping area, I found this bullseye. And so I'm wondering what in the world is this bullseye over here? And as I start zooming on it, I realize it's a barge. And I realize that the logo that I'm looking at is for Space X. Then I realized, based on news stories and things of that nature, is that this is the barge that the first stage of a rocket from SpaceX can come down and land on. And it does so autonomously. Meaning it can do it on its own. There's nobody needs to control it. It picks up the electronics in the first stage and basically the information that's on this barge, the electronics on the barge, allow this first stage of a rocket to come down and land on this barge. And it does it all by itself. Now the funny thing about this barge, you've probably already seen it, says, "Of course I still love you," at the bottom, which is very interesting. This brings up the currency of the imagery. Okay, down here at the bottom of the screen, if it's not visible clearly on your screen, I'll tell you it's 11/12/2015, which I presume is November 12th, 2015. So that's the date of this imagery. This is the most current imagery of this particular scene. If, however, we go up to this tool here, which says show the sidebar, we're going to click on that and the sidebar pops out, and I look at the 3D buildings. If I click on the check mark for the buildings, the cruise ship vanished, a tugboat appeared, Some equipment on the deck vanished, a crane vanished, and this gangway from the dock to the barge moved from over here to over here. So let me click on that again. You see where it's at. Okay, the gangway moves. This crane vanishes. The words, "Of course I still love you," vanish. The cruise ship vanishes, and the tugboat that's not here shows up. And actually, this ship here changes direction. It's facing this way. So let's click on it again and see that. See these things that happen there? Okay, it's very interesting. This is not the most current imagery. It is three-dimensional. So if we look over this way, we can see a bridge. It just popped up in the distance over here. That's nice. It's nice to be, okay, it's going to be temperamental, the bridge. Okay, whether or not it wants to show up or not. There we go. And we can see some of the buildings, even the trees are three-dimensional. And this is a very interesting thing. Oh, look, the cranes are three-dimensional. There we go. Whether they want to pop in or not. Not that I have the best processor in the world, but by not using the three-dimensional software, we have the three-dimensional imagery, we have the most current imagery. So I'm going to get rid of the sidebar. And I just want to show you this. It's one of the things I found totally by accident. I never knew that the Space X Barge was in Jacksonville, but lo and behold, here it is in Google Earth. Let me click on north, and I'm going to zoom back out a bit. So there you have it. North of downtown Jacksonville. Zoom out a little bit more. North of downtown Jacksonville, west of the very wide inlet. And if you were to follow the St. John's Waterway past this cargo ship section and the SpaceX barge, these things will get you up to the Jacksonville International Airport. If you're interested in the other airports in the area, there's one right by the Atlantic. Here's Craig Field. Here's another runway out here. I'm not sure what it's for. And here's another airport. Without really looking at it, I don't know what they are. But my goal was to look for Jacksonville International Airport, and there we have it. So with that, the next airport we're going to look at is a little bit west of here, and it's going to be out in the area of Tallahassee over here in the Panhandle area. So we're going to be looking at that one next. So with that, until we see you in the next video, take care and be well.